Hey guys, what happened to your emojis, Bill? Hey Stephen, 624 Dudley, g'day. Bill, Stuart, Craig, Peter, g'day. Mark Osborne, g'day. Matt Peterson, g'day. Kevin, g'day. Simon, g'day. I'm about done, to be honest, pretty much. That's where I'm at this week. Had enough. Ready to throw in the towel. Hey Cass. Um, Short stream probably, yeah. Look, I've been building bookcases, so yesterday was a pretty big day. I got one done and the rest cut out. I got let's have a look. I've got bits here everywhere for bookcases. And one sort of half framed up and finished. Hey Paul. Bit of a book nerd, sorry. These are pretty simple. I got some 18mm form ply really cheap. Come on, focus. And I made shelves that just dowed and screwed it. Oh gosh, sorry. Dowed and screwed a small piece of form ply along the front of the shelves. And top and bottom of the carcass the same. So this one here, just screwed this on here, and then these ends just screwed on the ends. So they're a bit rough, but they'll do. And I have 4 of them, so we should be set. That's what I've been doing. Really want to get that sorted. Those 3 will go across the end of the library under the window just nicely. They should look pretty good in there, I think. And I can load up some books because I've got a lot of books. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I've got a lot of books. So they're done. Oh, one's done. The others are sort of half done. And they won't take a lot of putting together, I guess. It's a matter of putting some bits together and putting a few screws in and putting some backs on. Did sort of lash out and buy myself a new stapler gun, which is probably all right, or it probably isn't. I don't know. Not a huge fan. I noticed Dad had a Stanley electric one, which looked really nice, but it's not here. So coming together. It's a bit of work in progress, but hence the sawdust everywhere. What else is everyone up to? I haven't really had much of a look at YouTube. Rust and Ox's series is coming along nicely. You should check that out. What else? There was a remake of an old video re-released on ClickSpring's channel. Probably casual. You and me use different fingers for our social life, so it's probably not going to worry me quite as much. Read what you like into that, but that's what I'm thinking. Sorry, guys. Is the man himself, is Russ Knox, the amazing builder of miniature shapers. I'm disappointed that there's not going to be any adjustable up and down on that table, but it's coming together nicely. Very cool build. It's a new video from Matty too, on Matty's workshop. Message from Matty this morning to say that he didn't have earthquake problems this morning, which is really good, but they're out at Eden. I got no idea, Russ Knox. You're doing great. Like, you really are. That's an unreasonable expectation if you even think about listening to me. I don't know. I got some parcels again from Tasmania. There's only one left, and that went to the wrong post office. So hopefully that'll be there before the weekend. I don't know what's in it. Rasnuk says, still not finished. It's looking pretty good. It's looking nice. There was a chirpy video too. I saw that. Been going through books, and there's all these books that, honestly, I may never read, to be honest. Babbitt bearing techniques. It's a reprint, obviously. Sure, it's a cool book. Do I reckon it was Dad's? Looks like mostly magazine extracts from magazines from sort of turn of the century and on. Quite a lot about Babbitt bearings. Might be worth a look. Can you still get Babbitt? And Paul's had earthquake issues too. I wonder if anyone else has on here. Hey, look, if you have, or you've got any news, or mention it, and we'll quiz you. Because seriously, don't be afraid to speak up. It's a bit scary and a bit close to comfort even up here. I guess you can still get Babbitt, yeah. I guess you must be able to. Bills. Good luck. Craig has a rusty, that's right. Gear Cutting Practice, Calvin and Stanley, 1937. That looks like a pretty good book. It's a reprint too, Lindsay Publications. Pretty keen to have a look at that if I ever need to cut another gear. I have this. Anyone in Australia might have a use for this. Maybe we can trade something. There's the 9-inch Haircus, which is pretty much the same as a 9-inch South Bend made in Australia. I have John Hainings's Introducing Model Traction Engine Construction. Probably a pretty good book. I haven't read that for a long time. I reckon that's mine. Interesting, Paul. Why bracing is so important. Yeah, things fall over. Hey, Jen. Another traction engine book. Traction engines worth modelling. Oh, a chapter on the farmers' engines of 1849. This is W.J. Hughes, who actually wrote the Auction series and drew the plans. Probably, if I was going to build a traction engine, and I'm not, right? Because my life's really not going to last that long, unfortunately. But the farmer's engine of 1849 would be an excellent starting point. No pictures really. Oh, there it is. Unlikely to happen, but it's another traction engine book with lots of pictures and drawings. Looks like it's an old, out of print book. Have we got a date on it? 1969. Two boxes of brass come. I've put them in the box with the other brass or on the shelf because I haven't got anywhere to keep it yet, and it was rattling around in here and I wanted to go through it. There's a Brunel Models catalogue. Probably, I don't know if they're even still going anymore. Gosh, what year was that? They made some awesome stuff, but Alpha Twin Marine engine, a couple of other big marine engines. They're still in business? Does anyone know? Tayport table engine. Double diagonal steam engine. Nice steam hammer. And a side rod engine. Terrific exterior engine. Be a fun project. A few traction engines, a few locomotives. Oh, how cute is that? So, I don't know if this is in but nice book. Probably worth keeping. Hey JB, good to see you. Thanks for the update today. Plans for a straight line engine. We're getting to it. Are you going to make one, John? Look at this. Now, this is one of Dad's high school textbooks. I believe that M.L. Burgess was a technology teacher in Launceston, and he wrote this to the Tasmanian government. And Dad may have been his student back in the day. That's the story I heard. This is a pretty awesome book. It's got welding stuff, cutting stuff, and bending and forging stuff. Test, identify unknown metals. Very nice candelabra. G-clamps, not the ones that Dad had there, but pretty ordinary looking G-clamp actually. A table lamp. A depth gauge. A boot last. Look at that, it's a boot last. Looks fairly useless, but for a high school project it's probably cool. And a basketball ring. Very nice engineering device with a 3.5 inch. It's probably not a bad looking thing. A pipe hook. What's a pipe hook? Anyone know what a pipe hook is? That's it there. No idea. A soldering bit. Look at that. Hi, Duncan. Look at this, wood lathe. Very cool. A drill stand. Not a bad looking drill stand either. And a bracket to go on the wall. What was that? It's a drill stand bracket for the drill stand. Oh, those sort of pipes. I see, not like smoking pipes. Thanks. Thanks, Russ Knox. There's a single candlestick. There's a very nice coffee table, which wouldn't look out of place in anybody's lounge room. If Craig wants to do that as a project, I'll send him the drawings. There's a broom handle fitting. These have got that 50s feel to them. Fire dogs. A fuel box for the stove. A poker and a brush and a shovel. A very cool woodworking vise. I reckon I've seen one of those, a carpenter's vise. Some notes. That's Dad's notes, I would imagine. How cool is that? Set of cold chisels. Sash clamps. There they are. A pipe vise. A letterbox. Nice letterbox too. It's a quality letterbox. Look at that little bit of scroll work under the indented brackets. Garden sprinkler. Lawn weeder. Nail bar. Garden rake. Oh, look at this. Look at that, magazine rack. Plastic lacing or wrought design. A stool frame. Nice 3-corner stool. And a wall magazine rack. Gosh, I remember seeing these. Toasting fork. Look at the toasting fork. Check that out. I reckon we had one of those. I didn't realise that's what it was. Sliding toasting fork so you can extend it. Very cool project. A marking knife and a gate latch. A tap wrench. Set of silver steel punches. Another garden sprinkler. Seen those. Hatchet and pan stakes. Toolmaker's clamps. I reckon I made some of those at one point. There's a nice tie rack. Quality tie rack, that. 3 different designs for brackets. And there's lots of stuff on milling and machines and reamers. There's some cool illustrations. Gear cutting, marking out. Lathe tools. Pretty good book, actually. So, glad to have that. There's a Department of Labour and National Service Industrial Training Division book on milling, 1943. It's a wartime book, I guess. There's a photocopy, so the illustrations are a bit sort of dark, but quite a lot on milling. It's probably a pretty good book. Alex Farmer's model locomotive bottom making. That was something I was looking for because I knew it was down there. Not a bad book at all. Might need that in the next few months or 6 months. Volume 3, I wonder where the other 2 volumes are, or 3 volumes. I think there's 4 of them. The shop from Rudy Kuhalt. This is an excellent book. Oh, Jim, I'm sorry. That's no good. Sorry, Jim. Tell us about him. How old is he? How old was he? This is an excellent article on making collets. It's probably why I bought the book, because I've used that a few times. Rebuilding milling machines, making accurate cylinder squares. Good books, these. Really good books. How to make a magnetic lathe chuck. Not sure I really think that's a good idea. A few steam engine builds and things in there as well. Good books if you can find them. Bob Shaw's book on building ignition coils and magnetos in miniature. probably a bridge too far for me, but pretty good book on building miniature magnetos. Don't know anything about it. There's instructions on building a miniature Wyco EK full magneto. Not really sure how good it is, or whether it works, or whether you can make it work, or whether the average person could make it work. But good book. Sorry to hear that, Jim. Willem's probably got a grunt there. Another Neville shoot, so disdained. This was the second of my books to be published 23 years ago. It took me nearly 3 years to write because I was working as an engineer on the construction of an airship, and I wrote only in the evenings in intervals of more important technical work. It was written through from start to finish twice, and some of it 3 times. Clearly I was still obsessed with standard subjects as a source of drama, spying, detection and murder, so seldom encountered by real people in real life. Perhaps I was beginning to break loose from these constraints. The reader must judge that for himself. In revising this book for reissue, I've altered half a dozen outmoded pieces of slang, and I've made no other changes. The book achieved publication in the United States under the somewhat uninspiring title, The Mysterious Aviator, Neville Shute. New edition, 1951. So, spy novel from Neville Shute. Hey, Fridge. Neville Shute was an interesting fellow. A lot of good books. Wrote a lot of good books. I'm going to have to sit down and see how many I'm missing and get the ones I haven't got, but I don't think there's very many gaps, to be honest, if I start putting them out on a shelf. Going to have to go through and see. Very excellent novels, Craig. Bit of romance. Some of them have a bit of romance in them, but he was a fairly interesting person. You probably should read Slide Rule if you don't read anything else. It's an excellent, it's his autobiography, and it was an excellent sort of reflection on industry and engineers and capitalism from sort of World War One through to the 60s and 70s. What we got? Model Engineer, volume 92. What year was volume 92? No idea. January to June 1945. Gosh, war. Speedboats from someone named EME, who was writing under a pen name. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on. Don't know whether you even wanted to bother seeing it. Flight timers, petrol engines, famous paddle steamers, ship modeller's corner, some welds, quite a lot on electric welding, Petrol there. A 4'6" model cabin cruiser. It's pretty cool. And details on the engine. Don't know, it'd be worth revisiting these. I haven't looked at any of them for a long time. What looks to be a little sign vise, adjustable hand vise. It says different terminology, but it's probably not huge. It looks like it's about what does it say? Can I see that? 1.5 inches across there. So it's only 5 inches by 1.5 inches. It's only this big. Oh, Toolfest 2021. If you're looking for ideas, sorry, I shouldn't look at all these books because people keep buying stuff and I really feel bad about that. But I have 1,000 books and there's a bit of a fetish with them, so. An experimental model marine turbine. Quite a few boats and mostly wartime themes. I guess boats were probably cheaper than railway locomotives when you were at war. Preheater for boilers and like a a 4-tool turret, latest technology on your lathe. That's pretty good. Everyone wants one of them. Look at this. Check this out. It's got a ratchet in it and all. That's pretty flash. How cool is that? It even ratchets at 45 degrees. They're all there. 2.5 inches square. Looks like it'll take about a 5/8 tool. Very cool. Nowadays it's a bit obsolete. The uses of a surface gauge. Watch this spot on surface gauges. Just a heads up. I'm a bit interested in them at the moment. Edgar Whispery on ignition equipment. How to bend up the legs for your pump stand for your tender. I used a cast one. Edgar Whispery's experiments in 4-stroke engine design. So lots of cool stuff. 1831, which was Edgar Whispery's petrol locomotive. Not many of them finished because it was a huge project by the time you built the engine, the transmission, and built all the rest of the bits. Pretty crazy job actually. Don't see many of them, but probably have drawings for it somewhere if someone's interested. 3.5 inch gauge. I think, oh gosh, I can't remember. Was it Wallaby was the engine? One of Edgar Whispery's engines anyway was designed for that. Lots of cool stuff in model engineering back in the day. 1945 was actually a bit light because no one had any money or everyone was too busy doing stuff to write actual articles. Neat flyback for a sensitive drill. Put a spring on your drill press, it's an awesome thing. Every drill press should have it. Paul asked about my difiler. While we're on that subject, there's diagrams for one. No real progress. I need a bigger mill. That will happen in the near future, so watch that spot. Carbies. Interesting little carbie there. Or 2 or 3. Probably should read some of those articles. Box keys made from Allen keys. From Allen screws. Very clever. Don't know when that, what sort of timeline we got on that, Craig. It's a nice 1.5" scale model road roller. No idea what time frame on that, but it'll happen. So it's model engineer, bound volume for 1945, 42. Don't know why it's not with the others, but got this book that's missing a cover. Now, if you can find one of these, right, here we go. This is it will be after Christmas, I think. I'm not sure. It might be Christmas. We'll see. We'll work towards Christmas, but we'll see. This is one of Dad's books. It was in the workshop. This is geez, Craig. This is a Starrett book. Don't know how old it is. However, the reason it's in the workshop is not because it's awesome window shopping, but because in the back it's got some fairly useful look at the computer. It's awesome. A Starrett computer and printer, probably dot matrix. So that dates this book a bit. But any of them are good because in the back, a bit further back than that, in the dirty section of the book, right, we have a thing called reference tables. So this guy with the drafting machine and the sideburns, that dates him a bit too. And it's not even a modern drafting machine. It's got 2 arms here and a cantilever system, so it's an ancient drafting machine. English to metric conversion table, decimal equivalents, numbers and decimal equivalents and number size drills. There's no metric in it. It's all black and white. Tap drill sizes. This particular chart has had a lot of use. Double depth of screw threads, which is a pretty useful thing. You can look up and work out the depth of your thread. So pretty useful chart, that. And it's seen a lot of use. Pitch diameters, different standards for wire gauges, all that sort of stuff. But that's the only place I've ever seen this particular chart, and it's pretty helpful. So might even get that copied out or something at some point and make a chart out of it, because if you're cutting imperial threads, it's a fantastic thing. There we go. I probably dribbled on for long enough. Traction engine book. I don't think I've even seen that. It's called The Heavy Gang, which is mostly writing in colour and black and white photos. It's a tidy little load. Another one. It's Craig getting his workbench home, his welding bench home. Very similar fashion. Wonder how many of them are sitting around still. 1951. We live in the wrong era. another little boiler load. Those trailers are awful. Look at the handbrake. Fancy walking along beside and trying to put that handbrake on a steep hill and hoping you didn't get run over by that back wheel. That's a scary looking thing. But there you go. We did get a nicely sign written as advertising, which is great. And of course we did it outside our factory so that we've got the writing on the wall there in the photo as well. So, pretty cool book. A book called Handbook for Drillers. Now, interesting. Never seen this before in my life. It looks like a pretty good book though. Problems with drilling and cutting and what happens if you sharpen your drill wrong and what to look for if your drill does this. Probably I instinctively knew a lot of this, but incorrectly ground lips, what causes what's going to happen there, and the shape of hole you can expect. Explaining rake angles. Popular shanks on drills. You very rarely see one of these or one of these nowadays. An indication of too great a speed. There you go. If you've got drills that look like that, you're going too fast. Special grinding for hard material. Properly rolled chip. Really not a big fan of properly rolled chip, to be honest. But when they get about 5 feet long and tangled up in down your shirt and stuff, they're not much fun. Thin points. A rough, inaccurate hole, the result of a dull drill. That looks like a pretty good book, actually. Takes care, Tad. You can match, that's right. But if it's cut nice and about 2-inch hole and about 40mm plate and you're really putting some weight into it, and you really don't like backing it off to move the plate and having it all fall on the floor because the drill's the only thing that's holding up the end of it and all that sort of stuff. You've got to be there. Different reamers. Easy outs. Anyway, looks like a pretty good book. Hinton oxyacetylene welding and cutting. The COG book. That looks alright too. A lot of stuff that you wouldn't even attempt now, like welding aluminium and magnesium, welding monol, nickel, Callisman and Inconel. Preparation for Cusselman or Everdual sheet is similar to that used for copper. Because of the low melting point and heat conductivity, there is no need for preheating. Use copper and brass flux. Paste form to the joint edges. Inconel similar preparation to monol. The metal is hot short below the melting point and therefore care must be exercised to avoid undue stress. Use plate shearings as filler material for Inconel and commonwelded Inconel flux. The flame can be neutral to slightly carburizing and welding similar to that to stainless steel. Geez, and then we move on to cast iron. There isn't any update on the loco, to be honest, Ridge. Sorry. No progress this week at all. Hey, Tom. Good to see ya. You're up early. You're going ahead in leaps and bounds. Really enjoying the updates. So, very cool book. Vapor flux welding, pipe welding, argon arc welding, argonaut welding. This is all stuff that, gosh, it's nearly history now. Flame hardening, brazing, hand cutting. Like, honestly, it's a long time since any of this was particularly current, and we live in the 21st century now, and there's very, very little chance that anyone's going to want to weld monometal with an oxyacetylene torch. Just not going to happen. So there we go. It's a pile of books that were in a box tonight. It's a tube with some drawings in it. Don't know where they're from. Don't know whose they are. That's what you want, Fridge? OB Bolton number 7, stationary engine. Very nice engine. I believe that's what Dad had intended to build with that boiler. It's a fair lump of an engine though, so you know, get a bigger mill, we might think about it one day. But I was actually interested to know whether there were boiler drawings in that, but there isn't. So they're still in Tasmania somewhere. It's a big engine, Ridge. What have I got? The Zephyr, 2.5cc two-stroke engine for construction with castings. Without castings. Yeah, it looks like a bridge too far too. The 3.3cc diesel engine from Model Maker Plan Service. It's not a bad looking little engine either, but a bit vintage. Probably also a bridge too far. I can't make simple stuff run. Instead of Joe Toktrop's economy engine blueprints. Like real blueprints. How cool is that? They're actual blueprints. Dan, we can do this. We can organise that. So, this is Joe Toktrop's economy oil and gasoline engine. Base, springs, valves, heads, all that stuff. Set drawings for that. I don't reckon castings are available anymore. So I'm mostly going through all that sort of stuff. Here's an update. We're going to see. Look at this clear bench. Check out the clear bench. What's our thoughts on that? Don't, Tom. We don't go there. Clear floor, crazy people is another way of putting that. Now, this boiler, we showed it last week. This is a 6-inch vertical boiler, right? Nice job. Pretty decent soldering job on it. Like, it really is pretty decent. I think it'd probably pass pressure test pretty easily, and it wouldn't be a bad boiler. It's coal fired. It's got a cast iron grate that goes in here, and it's got, if we move back up here, sorry guys, there's a cast iron top and a chimney. Probably got the makings of a pretty nice boiler. Now, who made this? Whose design is it? I haven't got a clue. Dad made it. I haven't got a clue who designed it. What I did do was call in a favour, and Ben sent me some drawings at EJ Winter of what I thought it might have been, which was a Bolton 6-inch boiler. He only had AO paper, obviously, or A1 or AO paper, and he never had any A4. So they're fairly big. But the drawing's only sort of tiny in the middle. It's not a very big drawing in the middle of a huge sheet of paper, which makes them really hard to display. And it's not the drawing I was looking for. It's one of these I was looking for. This isn't going to be much help, sorry. Now, first thing that jumps out at you is that there's no centre hole, right? For the fire, there's fire tubes all the way through. That's one of the things that jump out at you. It's probably a bit useless. Here we go, here's the other drawing. Now, this top plate is right up at the top here, and then it's got a firebox or a smoke box cover that goes over the lot here, like this one here, which is a different design completely. Now it's very similar in here, and it's very similar in the firebox. And there's some good ideas to come off this as far as fireboxes and ash pans and grates and things. Like, there really is some good ideas if you're going to complete the boiler, which I probably will at some point, and how it all works. but it's certainly not the design that this is. So there we go. Now, David, you've hit the nail on the head there, right? This is where we're getting to. I was waiting for someone to say that, and I thought, that's too good to be true. That's awesome. This, I believe, is AJ Reeves' 6-inch boiler, right? However, I've got a feeling that it was redrawn by Car Engineering in Sydney back in the 70s or 80s or 90s, and was sold as a kit by Car Engineering, because I don't reckon Dad bought this copper from the UK, because that would have been just silly. There's a lot of weight in that, and there's a fair bit that we threw out. So I've got a feeling that this is Car's boiler, which was actually a rebadged or a redrawn or something. Take care, Tom. We'll see you again one of these years soon, promise. I think this is a Reeves boiler. Now, haven't hit them up for drawings to find out, and I'd like some more confirmation beforehand. And Car, of course, had been gone 30 years, probably 25 years anyway. So I think if you know where it is and you can lay your hands on it, David, I'd love a picture. But I think that this is a Reeves boiler. Now, I saw some pictures on the internet recently on a Facebook group of a Reeves boiler with a square fire hole. But very, very similar. I don't have any details about this superheater and manifold on here. Right, nothing at all. So I really like that part of the drawing, and I don't have any details about the great Nash pan. So I'd really like details about that too in the base. Hey, Nigel. Thanks, Bill. So this is a project I wouldn't mind at some point. It's not a hole in that, it's just that you're on the right angle. Couple of camera phone pictures, David, if you've got time sometime and you know where they are. If it's anything like me, you haven't got a clue. If it's the right one, then probably I could order some drawings, but there's a set of Bolton drawings there for a very nice boiler code spec 6-inch boiler that looks like it'd cost you $1,000 to make nowadays. If anyone's kind of half keen on a project, I'd be down. So there you go. That's kind of what's happening. Oh. This, for Fridge's benefit, hasn't progressed any. Needs springs. This piece needs some work, haven't done that yet. I have got all these screws in there, check this out. All those screws went in. How nice is that? I'm pretty impressed about that actually. I'm more than impressed. I'm absolutely dumbfounded. And I'm nearly too scared to take them out again in case they don't go in again. Down this side too, got all these screws here. This one, of course, didn't get countersunk right in the corner, so that's only half in. But they're all started right across the front here, all across there, all around here. So the lid drawings are all, the lid bolts are all, screws are all in there. Pretty impressed with that. Yeah, David, look, just some confirmation that that's what it is. I'm happy to buy drawings, it's not a big deal, but I'd just like some confirmation. Here's Tom Make here. Tom has some stickers, and Craig showed them on his update video last week. If you haven't seen Craig's update video, you probably should. I've got no idea where mine are, and I'm really sorry for that. They're somewhere in Australia, and they're probably in one of these boxes, and I haven't pulled them all apart yet, so I'm building bookcases so that I don't have to double handle everything. But I do have a Tom sticker, and I'm really embarrassed, but I haven't got a clue where it is. I really want to put it on the board because no one else has got one. So we've got to put a fake floor in here, just below just here somewhere, which matches the floor on the locomotive. You've got to modify this so that it fits properly, because it doesn't at this point. Almost does, not quite. Got to make a toolbox for here. And the front's around here of some sort, I think, to go in here. Got to make a hinge for this. Got to make vents and vent pipes. Got to make coupling hook, draw hook for here, and some couplers. Got to make new springs for these buffers because they're a bit weak. Got to make new axle box springs because they're a bit weak. Got to take all this apart and put 3 holes in each side for the brake hangers. And then I've got to make brake hangers, which is probably, I'm going to get all the bits laser cut because I'm lazy. But they're all flat steel, 3mm flat steel. Then I've got to put a brake handle on here. On this side probably. Anyway, so that's coming along. It's got it to the point that where I wanted it, but there's still a lot of work in it. So crazy, one of those crazy projects that don't take it on unless you're pretty keen, because there's a lot of work in that. A crazy amount of work in building one of those. And that's just the water tank. Hey, Russell. Anyway, I don't know if there's much else to say, really. Everyone's just driven in late, but I don't know if there's much else to say. I'm still building bookcases, and I guess I will still be building bookcases next weekend. But hopefully we might get some books out. We might do the next live stream up in the library. Don't know if there's much else. The workshops are complete and utter catastrophe at the moment. I've got most of the sawdust swept up, but I need to clear off the rest of the bench and clean it up. Work again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I'm about, yeah, I probably could do with a spell, but I haven't stopped much. And I spent a week in Tasmania and didn't stop at all then. And I had a bit of a headache when I finished work, and I left the place in the work. It was a mess. So, of course, boss man come through at about 6:30 after I'd gone home and took pictures of everything and put them up just to show me. It doesn't happen very often, but every time you do it, it does. So a little bit annoyed about that. But anyway, nothing you can do. I'll clean it up in the morning before I get there. I guess that happens to everyone. Excuse me. Take care, Nigel. Days off really aren't an option, but a change is good, so I've been making bookcases and hopefully we can get them finished. I mean, great finds from Craig. He's got more stuff than he needs, so that's awesome. Lots of projects. Should be lots of videos coming out of that, and really we can look forward to that. I'm teasing you, Craig. Anyway, I might call it a night. I've bored you to tears for an hour. I appreciate you tuning in because it's really good mental therapy for me. Actually talk to someone who's not about work or all that sort of stuff. Oh, now I can hardly keep my eyes open, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that stuff if you can. I really appreciate that. And be kind to each other. I'm not particularly good at that when I'm tired and I seem to run my mouth. Sorry if I've offended anyone. Let's not talk about watches, Stuart. And yeah, I guess there'll be something to look at next week. But hopefully I can get these bookcases finished and back on this locomotive. Pictures, David. Pictures. We need pictures. Send pictures. And tell that to Stuart because Stuart's procrastinating a locomotive. Anyway, anyone else is procrastinating a locomotive, don't. Get straight into it. I'm out. And yeah. We'll catch you next week.